hate. And I know better than to listen to the people who are calling us names. I can feel the sunlight shining in.
Well, good morning and welcome to episode 874 of the Lots Project Morning Show, where the coffee is strong, the opinions are stronger, and everything is always filter free. I'm Brian, your host, and it's February 9th, 2026. This morning I'm enjoying a fresh cup of light Ethiopian from foodforestfarms.com because life's too short for shitty coffee. At Food Forest Farms, your beans are roasted by real human hands using Clean Stream Air Roaster. More than just a customer, your family. Get 10% off with the code LOTS10. That's LOTS10 for 10% off some awesome coffee. And the shipping is always free. While you're there, check out the C4 Club for even more awesome perks. Today we got another packed show. We're going to be surveying the ice storm damage at the cabin property, how the feds keep finding new ways to kill side hustles, a new flashlight I've been testing out, and because apparently we're not done with everything yet, Epstein. Grab your coffee, smash that like button, and let's get started. Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Martinson family in early. Good morning to you, buddy, too. Hope you're having a great time up there in the Great White North. Pip. Good morning, Pip. There's ice and there's ice. Hey, I-C-E-O. Oh, you mean that there's ice as in frozen water and ice as in the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. Oh, good morning, Hunter. Thanks for popping in over on Twitch. Hope everything's going good down in the great state of Texas. Oh, this light Ethiopia, man. It's fantastic. Every morning I make coffee. I get up, I hand grind my coffee. One small batch at a time. It's about one of these steel mugs. I make a couple of these stainless steel mugs. Good morning, Mike's Homestead. Thanks for popping in. Make a couple of these steel mugs, and so I'll grind the coffee beans for each one in a hand grinder. I weigh them out. I heat up the water. I make them in an AeroPress, and I sit there, and I'm like, it doesn't get old. It just doesn't get old. This coffee is good enough that every day it just puts a smile on my face, and it reminds me why it's such a good idea to buy that premium coffee, and it starts the day out right. But man, this light Ethiopian is hitting good right now. Over the month, my C4 Club this month, I got some darker roasts, I got some different things, I got a new experimental roast that he was making, but it always circles back to this light roast that I just enjoy a ton, the lighter ends. So hey, what are you guys drinking this morning? Anything good? Whiskey? Light roast, dark roast, Folgers, water, tea? All right. Well, let's get to it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and take a look at Bitcoin this week. It's been a rough week for Bitcoin. Prices dropped a little bit. Let's see. Did it start before last week's show? Has it been over a week? I don't know. My guess, yeah. With looking at my guess at 78,787, it must have dropped some more. I know last week I forgot to announce the price guessing game on the show. I forgot to give my guess. Somebody reminded me in the Telegram group after, and we got that going, and so I got the list here. But yeah, I picked 78,787 as we were sitting, I think, in the 80s last Monday. I don't want to pull up a chart right now, but I think we were in the 80s last Monday, maybe mid 70s, but we took a big old dip down to the very lower 60s. But right now, as of 6:06 on February 9th, 2026, Bitcoin price is sitting at $68,980, $68,980 for one Bitcoin. And on February 9th, 2026 at 6:06 a.m., my guess for the guessing game was 78,787. I'll let you know right away. That isn't the winner. But we do have some interesting guesses beyond that. Everything was all over the place. I think there was some sentiment that Bitcoin was crashing to zero. There was some that there was going to be a big bounce. There was some that was going to go down significantly more and then stop. So the guesses for this week, the lowball guess that came in over in the Telegram group was Canadian Farmstead coming in at 50,000. 50,000. He thought she was going down to 50. Not quite that far, but let's see on the high end. The highest guess we had was in Scramblin'. Scramblin' came in with 82,750. He was hoping for a big old bounce. John Palmer, 78,910. Blueberry, Texas, 78,862. Palm Tree with a 74,000. Arlen, Arlen came in with a guess of 72,950. And the winner this week, over there in the Telegram chat, I don't know if he hangs out in the live or just over in the chat, but Sean coming in with 68,900. 68,900. He's only 100. Man, get that guy in the guessing game some more. Sean with the win, 68,900. If anybody's listening and over in the Telegram, you can let Sean know that he almost nailed it on the price this week. So, with the current price at 69,000, just right, $69,040. I'm going to make a prediction next week. I think we're going to rebound a little bit. I think we're going to come up a little bit. 68. You know what? I'm going to go with 74,747. Stick with that palindromes. My guess for tomorrow or next Monday, $74,747. If you want to jump in on the Bitcoin price guessing game, head on over to the Telegram chat at t.me/lots chat, t.me/LOTSCHAT. Try to join. I will have to approve your membership. Keep the spam bots out. We keep the scammers and the spammers and everybody out of there. And we have a nice little group that has a good time. It'll be pinned message. All you got to do is hit that pinned message and reply with the guess for next Monday. And if you win, if you're lucky enough to win, you win absolutely nothing. I guess bragging rights for the week. So my guess next week, 74,747. Head on over to the Telegram group and make your guess today. Pip says going to be opening up a Food Forest Farms Light Nicaraguan in a little bit after the morning shots of rum. Are you on the forklift this morning, Pip? Or is Monday's your day off? Oh, man. Shots of rum on the forklift. Whew. Good times. Oh, all right. So, anyway, things we're going to be talking about today. I did make it out. I remember last Monday on the show, we had kind of gotten through. We got through the bulk of the ice storm. Had gotten power back. The neighbors ended up getting power back. Pretty much the area. I think there were some stragglers. I think that the power authority said that most or all residents in our county had power back by Friday night when they quit work. So that was basically just shy of 2 weeks without power. We were 3.5 days, which wasn't bad. 2 weeks would have been inconvenience, but I think we would have still done all right. It was about 3 to 4 days before the main roads had kind of melted off, and we could easily travel to someplace, and people had stopped. Hoarding's not the word. Had stopped waiting in line to fill propane tanks. So I don't think we would have had to worry about propane for the generator. We were doing really well. That 3.5 days, we only used 1 20-pound tank. I talked about that last week. So I think if we had to make it 2 weeks, we could have. Water is a big pain in the ass when we don't have city water, and when the power's down, the city water system was pretty much useless. They did get a generator installed at the pumping place, but I don't believe it was quite big enough. and with everybody that drips their faucets when it's supposed to be cold here, so their pipes don't freeze, things like that. The water pressure goes down, and then there's boil water notices. So I mean, it's basically like you're pouring it out of a creek anyway. So without the running water, because we drained our tanks and everything, it's a pain in the ass to live out of buckets and jerry cans and pitchers and things like that. But we didn't have to do that too long. The temperatures came back up. We filled the tanks. I do want to report that once we filled the tanks, we didn't have any busted pipes. We didn't have any cracked tanks. As far as I can tell, we don't have any leaking. So the way I went about draining the system, basically ran it as dry as it would with the RV pump, and then turned the pump off and left all the faucets open, so it had room to expand if it froze. There wasn't enough water in there to make a difference. If it froze, it didn't crack anything, and it just thawed out again. So I was excited about that. Martinson family says we were the Manitoba hot spot last week at +4 centigrade. Well, that's over freezing. That doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt. Yesterday we were at 60 something, and today I think we're pushing 70. So that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. 70 Celsius. That'd be hot, wouldn't it? But anyway, so our water was good. We filled up the tank, we turned on the pump, and things worked. No leaks, no anything. So that was exciting. We were out of water. We ran out of the buckets and things, I think, until midweek. So it would have been like 4 or 5 days. I probably could have filled before that, but we did have some 2 days that ended up dropping overnight to low teens. And that gets iffy depending on how much water is in the system and how quickly it freezes. So that was good. We were happy with that. And then I had to go get more. I had to get new hoses on Monday after the show. So basically my mission on Monday was to get the show uploaded, then go check out the property. I didn't think I was going to be able to walk in or to drive in. I was hoping to be able to walk in because of all the refreeze on the ice and the hills walking back there. It was, from what I understood, a sheet of ice. And then also run up and go to the hardware store and get hoses. Canadian Farm says we have ice, but there's no ice. Does Canada have an immigration service like that? Does the RMPC, do they kick the immigrants out, or do they have their own organization that does that, or does nobody try to immigrate to Canada? It's not an issue. I don't know. Maybe. So. But one thing I was concerned about even last Monday, so it had been over a week. They do have a CBP in Canada. All right. One thing going out Monday, I was pretty confident. So it had been over a week, and we had some pretty high temperatures. The roads were melting off, but looking at our road, even after that length of time, there was still quite a bit of in the shade, slush, refroze slush, thicker places where people hadn't driven. And there are some pretty rural, I don't know if it's rural is the right word for it, but there's some pretty back roads on the way from here to the cabin. One way we go. There it goes down in the woods, and it isn't dirt roads, but let's just say there's a lot of shade, and there's very little traffic on them. Pretty rural area in general, and then these are kind of back roads off the back roads. There are other ways to go, and I had kind of scoped out on the local Facebook groups that these were more passable, that they were pretty much dry. And so I knew I could get out there that way. To play it safe, first trip out, I was going to go the long way. Hadn't been that way in quite a bit. So I took off, made it to the property. Okay. I made it to the end of the easement road. The roads were all right. There were still some spots that were pretty sketchy, especially on hills, that I can imagine that a a week prior, they were really treacherous. Basically single lane, unless you wanted to drive in the slushy, icy, slippery shit up and down a hill. But luckily, like I said, around here, there isn't much traffic, so it's not like you couldn't wait to use the cleared lane if somebody was coming. So it was no problem getting out there. I got to the end of the easement road. I had troubleshot my 4-wheel drive a little bit. I think it actually might be working better than it has since we bought the truck 5 or 6 years ago. But got up to Jamie's, got up to a parking spot at the first house on the easement road, and decided I was going to walk in to check out the cabin. The easement road was still completely covered with snow, slushy, ice stuff. Luckily, it had warmed up that day into the 50s, and I'm almost 60, and the ice had started to melt. So if you're familiar, Pip probably doesn't know this, but anybody north, when it snows and then it ices over and it's super slippery, and then it melts, it'll give a little bit of when you step on it, it gives a little bit of a squish, and it actually gives you some grip. It gives you something for your boots to sink into a little bit and give you some traction going up and down the hills. And so it had gotten to this point, and I walked back. As I'm walking back, I see tire tracks on the road, which was interesting because I wasn't sure who was driving back there. Currently, from what I understand, we're basically the only people at the end of the road, and everybody else is seasonal. So I thought maybe one of the other people came up and drove in to check out the property. Wasn't really sure. So as I'm walking back, I hear a vehicle coming, and I was like, oh shit, there's actually somebody back here right now. Turns out it was the power company. There are 2 residents or 2 properties on the road that have power. It appeared that one had lost its line. A tree had come down on the line, and they were there to fix it. Conveniently, they also needed to clear all the trees out of that were blocking the easement road to get back there to fix it. So as I'm walking back, I think it was a total of about 3 or 4. Nothing super big, nothing that wouldn't have been easily handled by hand. I wouldn't need to get equipment or anything. Probably an afternoon with a chainsaw and just moving the stuff off the road. But the power company had already taken care of that. They had cleared the road, and they were actually driving out at the time I was walking back. They had a big old lineman truck, so I wasn't surprised that they were able to get in and out so easily. But they had their stuff fixed up. I continued walking past back to our place. Really, really curious to find out what happened. If there was so many things that could have happened. Let's start there. With the amount of ice, snow, wind, rain that we got, there were several things I was worried about. One was all the structures out there. So we have, I think, 3 cabins over on Tim's side with an outhouse and a metal shed. Over on our side, we have our roof structure that we put up, a soft-sided, like canvas carport garage shed type thing, and a metal shed, and a pergola. We have all our solar panels there, and a bunch of other stuff. So one thing I was worried about was any of those buildings collapsing. The weight of what was on those roofs was pretty intense, especially if it was warm enough to melt, but not to melt it off. And then it rained, it saturates and it just gets heavy and heavy. That was one concern. Another concern was all the falling trees. If you looked around here, and the drive really made it sink in, seeing all the trees everywhere. But limbs came down in every direction. Mainly cedars and pines. They took the worst of it, but even the big old oaks and things, that ice on the branches was just bringing stuff down everywhere. So I was concerned about branches on any of the structures, on the sheds, on the solar panels. those were my biggest concerns. Was a failure of the structure of any of the structures because of the weight or fallen limbs. Got back to the property, walked up immediately to our place to check out what we had. As I was coming up, I could tell that the roof was still up. Didn't really inspect that real quick. First thing, I kind of poked around. The metal shed looked fine. I couldn't get inside to see if anything was leaking or how things were going as far as with things melting off, because the doors, there was enough snow and ice on the ground that the doors were frozen shut. Same thing with the soft shed that didn't collapse, which I was amazed, especially after seeing how much built up snow and ice were in on the top. You know, as it got heavy, it sagged in, and then that just pooled in there. And I figured that weight would have just tore that canvas. Even if the structure was there, I felt the canvas was going to get pulled off. That held strong. I was able to pull off all the frozen stuff that was weighing the roof sections down. I was able to pop those off and throw them on the ground, alleviate some of the weight. But the same as the metal shed, the bottom of the doors were frozen into the snow and ice, so I couldn't open up to see inside. But from the looks of the outside, it looked like it was good. When I did check the cabin, everything seemed okay. I went inside. There were no leaks on the inside, so nothing shifted or buckled or allowed any moisture inside. The door worked the same, like nothing shifted to where it took the door out of square. The windows still worked the same. So nothing shifted from the weight, which was good. I had hoped not, but you never know. And the roof had already melted all the way off. Like the piles of the ice that had flown off the roof laying on the ground were pretty big. So there was a decent amount of stuff up there. And the only thing that happened, and it could have been way worse. So I have stacks of solar panels, probably, I think there's like 6 or 7 stacks of solar panels that we will eventually get ground mounted there. And one tree limb smashed a stack. I shouldn't say it smashed the whole stack. I haven't inspected it yet, but a quick look at it, the tree limb was still on it. It definitely smashed the top 3 or 4 panels, but looking at the stack, I think it was about 8 in the stack. The top 3 or 4 were cracked, definitely, and then beyond that, it might have taken the impact enough that it didn't damage some below. So 3 or 4 solar panels at the price we paid. I wasn't devastated by any means. It will be what it is. We'll just absorb that into the array and figure it out. But with all the damage that could have happened at our place, 3 or 4 solar panels wasn't a big deal. I walked the property a little bit, basically the paths between our site and Tim's site and the food forest, and checked those main things out, and the outhouse. Had one tree that completely came down across the trail, literally ripped the roots out of the ground. The whole thing was laying. You see those with the root ball sitting up in the air. One of those. Not horribly big, but enough that it obviously needs to be cleaned up and removed out of the trail. Some limbs came down on the way down to the food forest. A few limbs in the food forest, but it didn't look like anything. It didn't look like any limbs landed on any of the fruit trees or anything. They looked all right. No significant damage as far as I could tell. Walked over to Tim's structures. Nothing took direct hits. There was still quite a bit of snow and ice on his roofs because they're in the shade mostly. And inside, I wasn't sure. I was just doing a quick scan outside, so I didn't make it inside there to check out the inside. But I think we should be all right. There's no damage from falling limbs or anything. So outhouse was good. Everything else was pretty good. So all in all, for as bad as it could have been, I was very happy with how things turned out. Now it was a waiting game. Corey and I, it was my birthday weekend. Oh, by the way, had kind of hung out and did our thing. Corey had a 3-day weekend. We hung out and celebrated this weekend, and made it out there a little bit. Didn't really want to get stuck on the road and didn't have the time to walk in and walk out. So we are, that is my job this week, is to explore the road, make sure we can drive in and out, and then back to work on the cabin and getting things put back in motion. And thanks, Hunter. I appreciate that. Getting things rolling again and back on track. We had about a 3-week delay here again from the weather, and that's been a couple different times in this cabin build. We've been had long delays from weather where we couldn't get material and we couldn't access the place. So yeah, it is what it is. Back at it, but after surveying the damage, like I said, I was pretty happy that with what I saw. So that is that. That is the update on the cabin. Like I said, we didn't really have any progress on anything since we couldn't really even get in with tools and stuff. I took all the majority of the tools home for the ice storm in case I needed them, and so I got to haul them all back in there now. That is that. Segment 2 on my list here is let's talk about Comfrey for a second. After the ice storm, it was amazing. Actually, during the ice storm, I was getting Comfrey orders over at comfreyroots.com. It's a great time. Even I was a little weirded out when I saw people that were getting several inches of ice and snow ordering roots. But man, I guess you could start them inside in a pot and or in a tote and then transfer them out. I prefer to just go straight into the ground with them when you get them. But anytime you can get a shovel in the soil, you can plant Comfrey roots, and now's a great time, especially in the South, to get those going so they're nice and established and ready to take on those hot summers. You can head on over to comfreyroots.com, Comfrey, COMFREY, roots.com, and pick up your Comfrey roots today. It's a fantastic plant that will provide you all sorts of different things as they develop and mature. They're a great plant to look at, a great animal fodder. They're great for your soil. They're a dynamic accumulator, which means the taproot goes super deep into the soil and pulls up minerals and moisture, so pretty drought resistant from way deep in the soil and brings that back up to the top. So Hunter says his Comfrey down in Texas is super sad, but still green at the base. Yeah, you had some cold temperatures there. You might lop those off about 2 inches above the ground and let them come in, Hunter. Maybe. I'd have to look at them, but I'm guessing that you'd be all right to knock those off and let them come back. He says the red ants love them for some reason, because it's the best plant in the world. We need to all share. But comfreyroots.com, head on over there and get started with this fantastic plant today. All right. Let's see. Number 2 on the list today. Side hustle buzzkill by the feds. Not directly, kind of indirectly. So with the storm and the damage and my skill set and availability, I figured that I'd be able to easily pick up some side work, just cleaning up yards, cleaning up big branches that fell, using the chainsaw, just bucking them down, stacking them up, or even giving quotes to haul the wood away. I can do it way cheaper than tree services. I'm not going to offer felling. I'm not going to maybe if it's way out away from any structures by itself, I'll knock it down for someone else. I'm a little more risky when it comes to my stuff. But no, I'm not insured in case the tree drops on somebody's house, so I don't even mess around with that. But ground cleanup stuff that's bigger than you're going to be able to handle by yourself. If you don't have a chainsaw, I'll cut it up and stack it up and clean your stuff up. So I figured that would be pretty easy to quote some jobs. I think there is enough work around for all the tree companies plus anybody that wants to help out. And so I started putting ads up. I started throwing ads up. Reasonably priced, more than reasonably priced. I'll come up, I'll knock that out and go on my way. And just as I was getting that out there, getting the word out, the mayor of the town made an announcement on Facebook groups. So our area got declared, I believe it was a state of emergency on the state level, a state of emergency. But I believe that it was declared a federal disaster area, natural disaster area, like when a hurricane comes through or whatever. I think we were put in that classification, which means there's going to be Fed money coming in. And rightfully so. I guess it's his job as the mayor to let people know this, but it really put the brakes on my plans. He said, we're going to qualify for federal aid, but if you clean up your stuff, when the money shows up, you won't be able to qualify for the money. Now, I don't know if this is true. Don't jump on my nuts if that's not true. Like if you can document what you did, you got receipts, all that. Yeah, you probably do. But the way he wrote it and the way people took it, as far as I could tell in the comments, was don't touch your stuff until the Fed money arrives, and then we'll divvy it up and everybody can get what they want. Also in the post was that money can only go to licensed, insured, and bonded companies. Even doing the stuff that I was doing, which really wouldn't require those things. And also the rules on burning the wood. You either have to do it on your property or have it hauled to a certified property to have it burned. So lots and lots and lots of rules coming into play when the Fed money comes in, which in my mind is, when does that show up? From what I can tell, it's months and months. So all these places have these huge limbs just laying all over, waiting for maybe a couple of ducats from the Fed, which who knows how much money will come, how many people will actually get it, and then in the end, still have to get their shit cleaned up. So it really put the damper, and nobody's getting anything cleaned up. I drive around town now and everything's just as is, status quo. Nobody wants shit cleaned up. So that was kind of a bummer when they did that shit. Martinson family says, doing a week stripping concrete forms 2 miles from home, bridge on the north side, house highway nearby. I'm not sure what that means, but anyway, Pip says, last hurricane, a small town said, if you replace more than one fence panel, you're required a permit from the city. Yeah. It's sad. I mean, I'm able-bodied, willing to help somebody out in exchange for, cash or trade or whatever. But we're waiting on freebie handout money. And I get it. You pay taxes, you pay in, try to get as much out as you can. But at some point, is it worth waiting for the $100 I was going to charge you to clean up your side yard? Like, really? By the time you get your applications in, and now you charge, now you're calling a a full-scale company to come in and do a job that the neighborhood teenager or neighborhood old guy could have handled himself, they're going to charge you 5 times as much and possibly end up paying more than what you're actually going to get allocated from the Fed, plus what you were going to pay me. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, no takers on yard cleanup. Have also put out there that help with preparedness consulting, where we did pretty well. Did pretty well through this ice storm. A lot better than a lot of people that should have done a lot better than us, that had a solid infrastructure for their housing, lots of room to store stuff, all that. I think we did a way better than a lot of people around. And I just thought I'd help people out and help them figure out how to not suffer during these things, because it seems like every year that we've been here so far, there's been something, whether it be a tornado or a ice storm or a snowstorm, that is disrupting supply chains, or keeping people from traveling, or knocking out power, or any of a numerous things, where we just kind of roll with it because we're set up to. And I was hoping that people would see the value and in being set up for themselves. So, but I guess if people have seen the value in being set up for themselves, they've already done it, and they don't need my help anyway. So we'll see. The ads are still out there. Maybe sometime in the future. So that was kind of a buzzkill. Thought it was a good idea. But Pip says, I would have figured no one in Tennessee or North Carolina would trust FEMA after that last hurricane came through and getting screwed with sandpaper condom. Whoa, that doesn't sound good. Yeah, you for as much of a anti-government sentiment as you pick up the vibe around here, they also really clamor for their government, their local government. They want people to be taking care of them. It's really kind of a weird mix. And we had the Red Cross show up. I think it was 4 or 5 days after the storm. They started showing up with meals, 2 meals a day distributed. Thankfully, the fire department here, I do have to give a shout out to the fire department here. So we got a little volunteer fire department in town. The police chief, or the fire chief for the fire department, they had all hands on deck, man. They were there at the fire station for, it must have been 5 or 6 days straight, 24/7, keeping it warm, having food provided. They were providing transportation for folks that couldn't get out of their places. They had side-by-sides and UTVs and 4-wheel drive trucks and the fire trucks. They had all the vehicles to go get people. They were bringing people meals. They were taking people to bring them in to get warmed up and give them shelter. And that was all on a local level, and the local fire chief. So hats off to him. He did a great job. They had constant, chili on and meatloafs, and they were making the big time comfort food to help people warm up and stay okay during this whole thing. So that was really nice to see. Yeah. Take care of yourself. No one's coming. That's what I learned. And the other thing I saw yesterday on Telegram, the Self-Reliance Festival group, somebody asked, what lessons did you learn from the ice storm? And really, other than some just operational differences that we would do, that maybe it wasn't something that was life or death by any means. It's just more comfort stuff. Other than a few little things like that, I learned that being prepared is fucking boring. when everything's squared down and you don't have to worry about anything and you just kind of rolling through it, it's pretty boring, which is good. Pip Pip is on. Pip must have been having more than a few shots this morning. Pip says, What word starts with the letter F and ends in uck? Fire truck. Jesus, Pip. Let's move on. Let's move on a little bit. I've been checking out this product, so I really slowed down through the holidays a little bit on getting product samples. Both there were about multiple reasons for that, but I had a company reach out and ask if I would take a look at. Chris Dixon says, when being prepared doesn't change anything, you've done it right. Good morning, kids. Hey, Chris, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. I had a company reach out and ask if I would check out their flashlight. Hey, you want to check out my flashlight? I clicked the link. I was like $100 flashlight. EDC style flashlight. I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. It had multiple light modes and everything. They sent it out. We had the snow and ice storm. It sat at the mailbox for quite a while, and then I got it. So I've had this thing for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days now. I've been checking it out. Here, I'll show it. You think that's an EDC? You're like, oh man, that's pretty big for an EDC. This is the Imalent GR35 PE. Now this thing is pretty cool. I got a couple things I don't like about it. I'll talk about those in a minute. But basically, it has this nice little cover. You open the cover up. Cover comes completely off. A magnetic cover here. But this is like a battery bank that it's stuck in. Now, when you pull it out, it's actually pretty small. It's lightweight enough. I carried it in my pocket one day. It's not horrible. Battery bank, I think, gives it. I want to say 30 hours continuous charge on this, and you just throw that in there. And it does have a hole in the end. If you're watching the video, it's a lot better. But anyway, there's a hole in the battery case to where you can use the flashlight while it's in the case. So you could literally carry that if you wanted. It's a little bulky and a little heavier. But this thing's pretty cool. If you're watching the video, you can see this little circle here on the end. This is a dial to switch between modes. Now this thing, it's got your normal white light there. 2800, I think 2800 lumens, bright white. 2800 lumens, bright white. It's got 5 different levels of the white. And what the brightest is pretty bright. I was using it outside. You could see quite a ways. It sends out quite the beam. But the impressive part to me is this has a green laser, so it's a laser pointer. If you want to fuck with the cats, you want to do a presentation, you can pop this out. You turn the dial to the green laser. There is also a red light here on the bottom. This actually lights up here on the bottom as a red light. And then it's got UV. What do you use UV for? You can inspect the hotel room when you get there if you dare. But a lot of things that people use them for: checking for pet stains, blood trails, all sorts of different stuff. Any biological fluid's going to light up in the UV. And the cool part about this is most pocket flashlights, there's 2 different wavelengths of UV. There's a cheaper wavelength. Let me see. Let me get the actual numbers here. So there's 395 nanometer and 365 nanometer UV light. The 395 nanometer is a cheaper version, longer wavelength. Doesn't light up as much when you see that purplish glow, and then things glow in the purple. Not as bright. And really kind of on the kiddie level. The 365 nanometer UV light is more, it's brighter. It it lights things up more, and it's more on the professional grade where your your lights that investigators use and things like that. This has that nicer 365 nanometer UV, and so it's got the brighter, more effective light. Pip says might use that for the next time I rent a room up there for SRF. Are you sure? Are you sure you want to know what's there? But yeah, it's really nice. You just spin the dial, and I'm not going to do it into the camera because it would blank the camera out pretty quick because it is super bright. But basically, you spin the dial, and it changes between modes, and I find it really convenient. It's got a pocket liner clip, it's got a spot, and it comes with a lanyard for this. It also has a it also has a lock button. And that's a big thing for me. To turn it on and off, it's a button inside the dial here. But it has a lock button on the side. It's you double tap the lock button, and it's locked. You can put it in your pocket and not worry about it coming on. Chris Dixon says, "Be careful what you wish for" on the jokes about the hole on the end. And Mike Homestead said, "If you use that light in the room before SRF, then where would you stay?" Yeah, I don't know. You stay at that Best Western, don't you? No, I don't know what that place is. It looks kind of shady. Is that the one you set on fire? Did you set your room on fire? And they let you back? Anyway, one bad thing, the only bad thing, well, I guess it's a little big. It's a little big, bigger than like a Streamlight, probably 2 Streamlights size, but it is narrow. It's flat. It sits in the pocket well. It gets fucking hot. It gets hot. Hunter says it's a clean bed. Did you use your UV light to make sure it was a clean bed? I think that's what we're talking about. All right, Martinson family, shaking off. Have a great day. Have a good day at work, and we always keep powder dry. Chris Dixon says if that UV light comes on in your pocket, you get skin cancer on your left nut. What if you keep it in your right pocket? Hunter says his bed was clean. You used the UV light to check the bed? All right. Well, I guess it's safe to stay at the whatever hotel that is on I-40. Oh, yeah, Pip didn't set his room on fire. He just turned the smoke alarm on twice from cooking food in an air fryer. Hunter grabbed the wrong light. Oh, man. All right. Well, anyway, it gets kind of warm. Other than that, and really, it cools off really fast if you're using it. So I guess that's a good feature if it comes on in your. I guess if it comes into your pocket, it's on because it'll get warm and you'll feel it. But Chris Dixon says he wouldn't use a UV light in the lobby. You haven't seen this place, man. But anyway, I'll throw a link in the video description for sure. Let me throw a link in the chat if you want to go check it out. It is on the spendier side. It runs right now. It's on sale. It's on sale on Amazon. I think it's down in the $87, I think. But normally just under $100. And there is the link. I'll get that in the video and the audio description also in case you're watching or listening later and you want to go check it out over on Amazon. It is an affiliate link, and if you click on that, even if you don't buy the flashlight, but you got to do some shopping today, I will earn a little credit for it, and it helps me keep doing what I'm doing. So I appreciate that greatly. Not a bad little flashlight. especially somebody reaching out. I got to make some videos on it and test it out a little bit more, but comparable. Value for value. Streamlight, I think, just knocks everything out of the park. I think it always has, and it probably always will, on the price and the fact that you can get them super cheap on Amazon if you watch for sales. But this has some extra options with the laser pointer and the UV and the signal light and the battery bank. So there's a lot of value stacked in there, all in one. I think it would be good for definitely good for somebody doing like a tech. Service tech or a remote tech or someone in the trades that has a tool pack, and you can throw it right in there. Maybe if you have a service van and you're going to jobs, you could keep that battery bank plugged in right in your van and throw that in and out as you go about your day. I don't know, day-to-day use, just a pocket flashlight. I don't know. It might be a little much. It's up to you. Up to you. Anyway, let's move on. You know, if watching the value of Bitcoin going down doesn't scare you off, and you're still thinking about holding long term, hodling for dear life, you might want to check out the Blockstream Jade and Jade Plus hardware wallet. To keep your Bitcoin safe. The price should go back up. I'm not going to say it will. Price should go back up, and probably should go back up more than it was before. It's usually how the pattern goes. You're going to want to secure your Bitcoin and have that little hardware device, and no one can send it anywhere without having that physical device. It's kind of like a backup, a two-factor authentication, a secondary key. Blockstream Jade and Jade Plus. Click the link down in the video description or the audio description to get 10% off, or you can go to store.blockstream.com and use code the Lots Project for 10% off. Appreciate it. Appreciate that. Chris Dixon says 80 USD. That's like 1,000 knuckles. Well, Pip says, did Satoshi go to Epstein Island, which caused the crash? Funny you mentioned that. Epstein. It's been a shit show. If you've been online, on Facebook, other places, X, they dumped just an absolute shit ton of Epstein documents. A lot of redactions, a lot of, you know, at this point it feels just like placation. They're just like, here, this will keep you satisfied. What I think happened with this go round was there were so many documents and so many documents that were just plain Jane, just pictures of screenshots of emails, Google email. How hard is it to take a Gmail and edit the text even before AI? Just like maybe 10 years ago, you're just on your computer and you want to take a document and just replace the text. Gmail is pretty simple to just change that text. Now with AI, it gets exponentially easier. I think what happened was there was such a mass dump of Epstein files that anybody that wanted to say anything could easily spin up an Epstein document and post it on Facebook. It didn't necessarily need to be in the file dump. 99% of the people that were scrolling through Facebook was going to see the sensational headline, see the document that you may or may not have made, take it for fact, not go check to see if it's an actual document or what it actually says, and forward it on. I think that's what happened. Man, there were things from Bitcoin, there were things from Bill Gates, there were things, and a lot of it was true, a lot of it was actual. I shouldn't say true. A lot of it were legitimate files that could have been Jeffrey Epstein lying. It could have been Jeffrey Epstein joking. It could have been inside jokes. It could have been nefarious. It could have been not. I don't know. But I do know that Jeffrey Epstein didn't invent Bitcoin. Well, I can't say that for sure. I would be very, very, very shocked if Jeffrey Epstein was Satoshi, first of all, or even was in the early creation of Bitcoin. Hunter says, "Oh yeah, old Jeff invented Bitcoin." Well, I mean, I've seen multiple posts that say it. I've seen multiple posts that that Epstein colluded with a programmer who ended up being Satoshi, that he funded Bitcoin to be able to transact. And this was my favorite part of it, to transact for all their nefarious pedophilia bullshit without being caught and being traced. So that person obviously has zero clue how Bitcoin works and is completely transparent and all on the blockchain. So Pip says, I got to laugh about Bill Gates getting an STD and trying to drug his lady. That was solid. I don't know if that's true. My conclusion on that one is somebody with the amount of money that Bill Gates has isn't hiring dirty Russian hookers. Dirty as in going to catch something from them. But you don't know who else was in the room. Maybe dirty Billy Clint was there, and he had a little virus on his wee Billy Clint, and ended up spreading that on to Mr. Gates. I don't know. Does he not have the sack to tell his old lady that he gave her syphilis, and he has to sneak her antibiotics? I don't know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, one of the documents basically alluded, and it turns out that it was like Epstein emailing his brother or something about getting an STD from some Russian girls, and then needing to source some antibiotics to covertly dose his wife Melinda with antibiotics. Was it true? I don't know. They're no longer together because of definitely stated that Epstein had a lot to do with the fact that Bill and Melinda Gates aren't together anymore. So you never know. Chris Dixon says dirty like needing the UV light. I think you're going to need more than the UV light for this one. But I don't know if I'd want to shine a UV light around Epstein Island. Yeah. So did a bunch of documents come out? Were a bunch of documents redacted? Yeah. Will anything happen? This is the biggest thing. This is the biggest thing I see. This has been going on for years now. I'm trying to remember when was Jeffrey Epstein arrested? I mean, he's been dead a long time. First of all, maybe, I don't know. I think he's living somewhere, really. But the amount of time that these documents have been rolling out, have been going to be released, blah, 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 and all this. Nothing's going to happen. No one's going to jail. The Clintons aren't going to jail. Bill Gates isn't going to jail. No one's going to jail. Nothing's going to happen. Same with the Somali daycare and the fraud in Minnesota and all the bullshit with nothing's going to happen. So enjoy it for the joke that it is, and move along. Don't get upset about it. It's just, it is what it is. It's the people in power staying in power and not being accountable for the things that happen. And do I know anything illegal actually happened? No, I don't. Do I suppose that it did? I am probably. Pip says, why does the whole room light up with the UV? Pip says, Jeffy got switched out, no doubt. Same with the human organ harvesting in China. Right. And Dixon Way says people will get enraged. I believe that's the goal. Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's to keep the people fighting. It's to keep the people mad. It is what it is. Now Thomas Massey is actually one of the political people that I think is a decent dude. Kind of walks his walk and talks his talk. I think he might have some names. I think he might release them. I don't know. Even if he does it really matter? I don't know. I'm done with Epstein. It's just joke fodder at this point. Really is. And I don't see anything happening of it. Got a busy week, guys. Gonna get back out to the cabin. Corey's got some extra time off this week. We're gonna try to get rolling on getting back to building and right now, I think we have some windows left. We got some framing to shear up. We got some windows to install. We got another door to install. We got to then we got to start getting into the metal. We got a lot of work to do, and yeah, it's time to get rolling on it. And so, it is what it is. Pip says, I'd like to give credit to T. Massey. Press F for respect. F. All right, Chris Dixon, have a good day. I'm taking off too, guys. Wrap it up. If you could visit those links in the video description if you need any of that stuff, and click or share the show. Sharing the show would be fantastic. If you're listening now at the 1 hour mark, and you can do me a favor, share it with somebody. Share it with anybody. Share it with your socials. Share it personally with someone that could give it a listen. Let's try to boost this up a little bit and move forward. So if you want to get in on that Bitcoin guessing game, head on over to the Telegram chat at t.me/LotsChat, t.me/LotsChat, or head over to thelotsproject.com. Check out all the good stuff we got going on over there. Other than that, I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope it goes just the way you want. There's no disasters. There's nothing going on. We'll see you over in the Telegram group. And other than that, have a great week and catch you next Monday.